And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens, General Manager at WEIU TV and Radio. My co-host is Michelle Bravo.
Hello.
How are you today, Michelle?
Good. How are you?
Good to see you.
Yeah.
All right. My guests today are from the Southeastern Illinois Community Foundation, Kristen Bertrand.
Yes, that's
Welcome.
who I am. Thank you.
And Mr. Alex Pleasant.
You got that exactly right.
I did not mess up your name. I know his brother, so I'm going to try to call him Alex the entire show. Why don't we start with Kristen and just explain maybe your job title and some of your duties, okay?
Yeah, I'm the program officer for the Southeastern Illinois Community Foundation. I like to say that all in one big scope, so then I can say Community Foundation after that. So I'm responsible for programs, for scholarships, and grants that come to or through our foundation.
And I'm the president and CEO at the foundation, so just bother people all day long. Just
You're the big boss, right?
Yeah, that's it's glamorous.
There you go. The one question that always comes when you think about a foundation is the roots of the foundation, of where the original seed money or investment money came from, so you can grow and do all these wonderful things that you do.
Yeah, so our foundation and community foundations generally, they're kind of interesting animals because most of the time when you think about a foundation or a charity, you think about it having a particular subject matter, right? That it's, the American Cancer Society is focused on cancer, or your local soup kitchen does, feeds the hungry. Community foundations have a geographic focus instead of a subject matter focus. So we're Southeastern Illinois, so we're kind of a regional thing. We actually came about because there was a community foundation in Mattoon, and then there was another one in Effingham, Illinois. And about 15 years ago, they realized that really we were doing the same kinds of work, we were paying all the same bills, we were doing all this stuff that kind of overlapped. And so our foundation came about when those two merged. And then since then, we've added another 7, 8, 9 counties that we do different programs in. But
Anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, I came in about a year and a half ago, so all the work that people did before me makes my job so much easier.
Well, where do you want to start in terms of some of the things that are going on right now? And then maybe we'll get to some of the stuff you've done in the past and move forward. You let me, is that what you want to do? What's coming up?
Yeah, we can talk about what's coming up. Yeah, right now we're in our grant program. So we just completed some education grants. We have them for 4 different communities. And so teachers are getting a little bit of money for their classrooms. So that's really exciting. And then we have our fall grant cycle going on right now.
No, go.
Oh, yeah. So we have 4 grants in Effingham and 2 in Coles County. And Coles County grants are what I really wanted to talk about today.
So let's go ahead, Michelle.
I was just going to ask if the grant size vary, or is it just one big prize?
Oh, yeah. So each funder has their own budget, depending on the size of the fund, what's available. So, yeah.
So the Coles County, let's talk a little bit about the Coles County. Is it for teachers and students or both, or how's that work?
Yeah, so the education grants are over. Scholarships will be in January. So this is for nonprofit programs. And so there's the Coles County Peace and Justice Fund. And then the second one, it's the Consolidated Communications Fund for Economic Development and Community Leadership.
Well, let's talk about the Peace and Justice one first. Then.
Yeah. So the Peace and Justice Fund awards money to nonprofit programs for 4 matters: social justice, human rights, religious tolerance, and environmental protection. And so if there's a cause that falls under that umbrella, then this fund is exactly for that reason in our community.
Can an individual do it, or does it have to be for an organization to apply for one of those? How's that work?
It's for nonprofit programs.
So it has to be a program then.
Right, but if there's an individual...
I'm just thinking about an individual has a really cool idea but needs some money or financing, that would you at least look at it, or how's that work?
Well, they could attach themselves to a 501c3. They could talk to us so that we could try to figure out who or how we could match them.
That makes sense. I like that. So, Jill, go ahead.
I was just going to say, how does the application work?
Yeah, so
take us through that process.
Yeah, so it's an online application. So we have a link on our website, or they can get the link from me. And so the organization just starts with their information, and then they put their personal contact information in. They do a little quiz to say, do you provide services in Effingham County or Coles County? And then it shows what grants are available. And so for Coles County, there are these two, the consolidated one for economic growth for a nonprofit, or the Peace and Justice Fund.
When you talk about that, there's 4 different elements that people can apply for. Can you give us an example of like somebody that's done each of those, so we get a little more clear in our mind what we're talking about?
Yeah. So this fund has given help for a recycling program in our community. They tried to give one to EIU a couple years ago, but it stopped because of COVID. But it was the Making Excellence Inclusive, and they wanted some chats about bringing different things for awareness. One Stop Community Christmas got a grant one year to provide books about diversity that they give out to families. The Haven, they got a grant for hunger awareness week, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
That's the homeless shelter in Mattoon,
Yeah, there was a community Seder that came from this fund before. And then the Reality Project, that's another organization in the community that got a little bit of money for their operating costs and for the Juneteenth event that they had this spring. And then there are other nonprofit programs that have asked for funds so that they can provide some awareness training or some diversity training for their staff.
When you talk, you don't have to give specifics, but I mean, when you talk about all the different people that you just gave, grants to, I mean, are we talking, are $500 up to $10,000? Is there rules on limits, or is it kind of, if it fits, it fits kind of thing?
Well, there's a pot, right? So there's $7,000 that Bob and Marilyn McLean give toward this fund every year. And so that's money is just divided up between the programs that apply, and there's a committee. It's not just the funders that look at those applications. There's a committee, and it's not even Alex and I that decide. No, we have a committee of people who give their time to read the applications and bring their opinions and their thoughts as they review, and they decide together where this money should go.
Is it fair to say, go ahead, you had something to think?
Yeah, I was just going to say that in general, I think that's a common misunderstanding about the foundation and foundations generally. We're really here to provide that structure and to provide kind of the process and that pipeline. But when it comes down to deciding ultimately where is the money going to go, that's always going to be people from the community that we pull together that make those decisions.
How many people on that community board? I mean,
there are 6.
6? So if it's tied, do you get to make the choice then, Tony? See, I did it, and I did it.
You did it. You had done so well. You had restrained yourself so well so far.
Do you get to make that, Alex? Do you get to make that choice then if it's a tie or not?
Nope. That's not. We will stay in the room and work it out. But ultimately, it's we feel like it's important for us as staff to not be the ones who are putting our thumb on the scale. Because just like anybody else, we read the applications and think, well, I kind of like this one, and that one's less. But ultimately, it's not our money. It's
that's good. So I mean, in a way, your job is to make it legal, make sure all the I's are crossed and T's are dotted, as they say in the to make sure everything is fun.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Well, that also allows me to give help to people that are applying, because then I can say the funders would really appreciate this kind of information.
So you kind of walk them through that street a little bit.
Right,
Okay,
and I can give them more information about what they could do better with their application.
And that thing is open right now, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So give us the dates and timeline and of when that needs to be in.
Yeah, the due date is October 4th, which is tomorrow. But it's been open for 7 weeks, so it opened at the end of August, and so people have been working on submissions. Now, probably that first week there was no action, right? Yeah. Because people are just learning about it. But I do have about 10 applications that are pending, like people are working on them. And then if someone is listening to me today, then they could contact me and I can open up the application or extend the application process for another week.
Yeah, that was what you were going to talk about, right, Michelle? Is that
I was just asking that because, I don't know, that's something that people want to know about, you know what I mean?
I mean, I think it's cool if you do that too. And there's always people that don't find out about something, and that would have been good. And I think from your point of view, you would hate to miss a really good idea
Right.
that you could help with just because of a deadline. But I mean, you have to have deadlines because eventually, the checks
Right.
have to go out and
Right.
all the board has to make decisions. Well, let's move on to the Consolidated Funds for Economic Development and Community Leadership and what that fund. Now I want to go back. Actually, my brain's swirling that. You said it was Bob and
Marilyn.
Can you give us a little
McLean.
background on that couple and why they were so passionate about some of this stuff? Does anybody know?
Yeah. Bob and Marilyn spent their life, the work that Bob did specifically for the United Methodist Church, it dovetailed into work with the United Nations. And they've always been about social causes. And they've given their life to that. And so now when they've retired and moved to Mattoon, they want to extend that same desire, passion to the community.
Were they from around here originally, or how did they? Okay.
Marilyn was from around here,
Okay.
yeah, and I think it's pretty unique to have living funders, right? To have people that
Yeah.
are passionate. We are so fortunate to have monies that people have laid down in the communities for legacies, for forever, because once the money comes here, it stays here.
Do they still get involved? Do they still come by and want to know what's going on?
Yeah, I go to their house, and they're interested in who is, applying for this. They want to know how we can bring awareness so that more people can know about it. And they're very passionate. They want to meet the people that are going to, use the funds. in
That
the
is really.
community.
I would have never thought. That's really neat when you think about it. So, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a great example of some local folks who had some causes that were important to them, and they reached out, and we were able to set something up. And we encourage people, if you're in that position and you have a cause that you really care about, by all means reach out, because we can work with you to set something up, and you don't necessarily have to be the millionaire upon millionaire to do it, right? It doesn't necessarily take an enormous amount of money to make a difference.
I was going to ask that. You read my mind a little bit about the fact that somebody did hear this or hear about your program and they had an idea that they wanted to give back. Is there a process there? They meet with you and make sure that, and then go through that, if you could?
Yeah, so the Community Foundation as a whole is made up of about 200 different funds. So
Wow.
those are two of,
Yeah.
of 200. And some of those are very, very specific, right? They're dedicated to, very particular historic preservation of a particular place and that kind of thing. But generally the process is folks will reach out and we'll meet with them and kind of go through a basic agreement that just kind of lays out, this is what the process is going to look like for giving away the money, and this is, these are the causes that are important to you. And then, once we have that set up, we help some with fundraising and that kind of thing, depending on some folks, this is their thing and they want to write a check into it and that's going to be the money that funds it forever. Some of them, it's more of an ongoing thing where they, this is a cause that's important to me. I'm going to put a little money in, but I'm going to, be careful about taking a phone call from those folks, right? Because they're going to ask you to, maybe you can cut a check too. So, and a lot of our funds are funded by the whole community, right? They're not just an individual. So,
Interesting. All right, now let's move on to the consolidated stuff, Kristen. And where do you want to go on that? I mean, I know that you talked about in the email about some past recipients, and you're also going to extend the deadline for this. So, talk about what kind of money the consolidated funds for economic development and community leadership really go towards.
Yeah, it's for nonprofit programs again, or schools. Last year they gave a grant to a school to put on a entrepreneurship camp for middle school students. I thought that was pretty creative, and so did the committee that reviewed it. But it's mostly, nonprofit program to help them with workforce skills, to encourage their own entrepreneurship, or enhance the environment of the economic business development in Coles County with the nonprofit programs. So they could do capacity building. They could ask for monies for training for their staff or for their volunteers.
What's capacity building? I have to ask. I've never heard those words put together like that. Or do you?
You can explain
I
it
mean,
when Alex.
It's anything that makes your organization a better, stronger
There we go.
organization.
Okay.
So sometimes it's we need money because we want to work with somebody to put
Okay.
together a plan for the organization, or we want to go to a conference or a training or something like that. But you're building the capacity of the organization to do work.
Just didn't, some things
I-
they go in and they're like,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, now
Yep.
you-
the
yeah.
jargon buzzer went off, right?
Yep.
And
all right. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kristen.
No, yeah. So past recipients have gotten training, for their staff,
Yeah.
their volunteers for a specific conference or maybe a specific topic. Recruitment. People have used the monies, to recruit more volunteers. For a new curriculum that a school has wanted to provide to their community.
I know Charleston just did a lot of that with new
I think
curriculum.
they used a grant years ago, well, maybe not so long ago, for that Leader in Me. And that has been an ongoing process that schools have used since they asked for the grant money the first time.
When you see things like Lyft going on at Mattoon and the Class E programs, there's a lot of entrepreneurial stuff going on. I mean, do you support that, or how does that work? Are you involved in any of those kind of things?
Yeah, if there was a cause that they wanted to apply for, yeah, we would support that. I think we even gave a grant to Easy last year.
Yeah.
The special education, a teacher there asked for some money for her capacity as a teacher.
Alex, have you noticed, since coming out of COVID or even during COVID, are people more giving because they were, they had 2 years really not being out in public and they want to find a cause to get behind, or did the money stay the same over the last couple of years?
So the money is, I'd say, pretty steady. Has been what we have seen is that events that used to be really a grind to get people to attend are getting really good participation and really good attendance. I think that people went through that stretch of feeling kind of detached from their community and those institutions and everything. And so a lot of the organizations we work with, they are seeing just really high participation numbers in a lot of those things.
Michelle, you think?
Yeah, so when, let's say a recipient wins, is there, anything done for them, or they just win the award and that's it?
Yeah, well, in COVID, we just mailed the check. or maybe...
Wiped it all down with Lysol and then mailed the check.
But the McLeans are very interested this year in having a reception because
Okay.
they would like, since we can all
Everybody
get out
wants to
again,
get out,
right?
Yep.
And meet who are the recipients. And so when the committee decides who is going to receive the monies, then I communicate with the applicant, let them know, and then they have some time to fill up an agreement form that we have, some boxes that they have to check, and then we can issue a check. But this year we want to give the checks personally, and so we'll hold those until we have that reception.
Let's go back to the check, and you made me think of this, Michelle, when you said they get the check. Dylan, do you go? That isn't the end of the process, right? Do you follow them through to make sure that they do all the stuff they need to do with that money, and they have to keep their receipts and all that stuff? Are you the guy that checks that off, or is that you?
Yeah, they submit a report to us.
Okay.
We want it to be 30 days when the program ends. So if they have it for a specific training, then a month later,
Okay.
We have some impact questions. How did it impact your program? What kind of success? Did it measure what you were expecting? Are there outcomes? And then receipts and a photo. That's what we're asking.
I'm going to ask this question because go ahead, Jeff.
Do you guys send an auditor or anything, or is it just you're just going to go by their word and whatever they say?
Well, when they apply, they have to submit some financial information to us. And so we ask for a budget, and we want to watch and make sure that the receipts match, what they said that they would use the money for.
Come on, have you ever had somebody that you had to this doesn't really jive, and you had to go back to them? I mean,
Well, I'm new to the process, so not yet.
That's a very good politically correct answer there, by the way. He's good.
Usually vague is more of a problem than dishonest, right? We
Yeah, I
generally
wouldn't use
we generally don't have people who do something completely different, but it is sometimes you do have to do a little follow up and say, could you be a little more specific what happened there.
Or if they didn't use all the money, do they give it back, or do they donate that to charity? Or how's it? Because I can see where a program thought they might need $5,000 for this trip or whatever, and they only used $4,200. What's the process there?
Right. If they don't use it all, then there's a place on the form to let us know that, and then we can talk to the funder to find out, okay, this is how they say they want to use the rest of the money.
Okay.
And
There's
find
options.
out, to make sure that that's right. We did have one applicant last year who received, approval for a grant and then decided, I can't use it. And so we didn't end up sending the check there.
That's interesting. That's why I like it. You kind of get in the nuts and bolts, some of the stuff behind the scenes that I think is interesting. You also, I know you give tons of scholarships to the different schools in your system. I know specifically since you're up here in Coles County, I know you do a lot for Mattoon. Is Charleston involved in this, or how's that work for some of your school scholarships?
Yeah, right now we have one scholarship that works for all of Coles County, and so that would include Charleston and Oakland.
Okay. Can you take us through some of the different things that students can apply for high school, scholarships? I know that. Only reason I know that it's that time of year. I'm getting an email every day from Mattoon High School that says this scholarship's available, or FAFSA's open here. So, what's out there right now?
Right. Yeah. So I'll talk about Mattoon specifically because we have so much available. If you're a Mattoon High School graduate, there are 10 opportunities for that student, and it's just like our grant program in that our scholarship program is online, and the beauty of it being online is we have a universal application, which means they put their information in once. They fill out one application, and it filters their information, and then what they are eligible for shows up after they submit. So it might be, I get 2 scholarships, but this one's asking me for a reference, or this one is asking me an essay question. So I like that system makes it a one-stop shop for our students.
For the Mattoon, okay. Mm-hmm. Is there a cap, because a really good student who's eligible for all of them, do you not let? Is there a cap of how many they can win or be awarded? I guess.
There's not a cap. I wouldn't say that.
So in general, the thing to keep in mind with scholarships is that it's the kind of final cap is the school's cost of attendance, right? That's what. We're going to send scholarship checks to the school. They're going to apply it against that cost that they count, the nice people over in the financial aid office calculate every year. And so you really can't use anything above that cost of attendance. So
does economic status of students factor in if they really need it to get to an Eastern or a Illinois or Southern? Does it factor in a lot or not?
Yeah, there are some of the scholarships. Financial need is a high, the reason for that particular scholarship, and that's why the system filters, and weighs all of that information. We have a new scholarship for Mattoon students this year, which is the Dell Willison Scholarship, and Dell was a longtime educator in Mattoon, and so
he was at Mattoon High School and I was.
Yeah, so
he was at Mattoon High School when a lot of people were at Mattoon High School.
He was on the trades.
He was there for a long time.
Was he trades and all that, or what he?
I don't know specifically what his...
I know after he stopped teaching, he went on and did kind of workshops and worked with new teachers. I don't remember what exactly
new teacher curriculum he worked on.
I don't remember exactly what his subject area was.
Sorry, I interrupted you again.
No, that's okay. We have, like I said, 10 scholarships that we have available, and 2 of them, all you have to do is be a graduate. There's not a lot of requirement, and that scholarship, the Burgess and Daisy Mason, those 2. I almost forgot. It's also available for a college student who's a sophomore or junior, or their senior year of college. So students have to reapply for our scholarship. It's not automatically every year. Mm-hmm.
I was going to talk a little bit about the decision process and the awards, but you covered that a little bit. We've got about 4.5 minutes left here. We're today talking to the Southeastern Illinois Community Foundation. Other things that you want to get out, upcoming events or anything, as we kind of get towards the end here. I don't want to forget anything. I know you sent me a ton of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think I do the grants and the scholarships, but also help out with a few of our programs. And a new fund, it's not a new fund, but a new program from a fund, the Tyler Santa House, will be part of Mattoon Lightworks this year.
What, Tyler?
Tyler Ross Jones. His family has a memorial grant No, it's not even a grant. Like, listen to me, I've got all these words. They're doing a Santa house in his name, and I think that will be available for the whole community to take part in. And
That would be neat.
yeah, it establishes, their love for their son and the love that he had for Christmas.
That's awesome. When you hear something like that, that's got to make you feel good, doesn't it?
Oh, that's the best part of this job is that, like I said, there's 200 funds, and those are 200 passion projects that different people have had over the years, that things that you probably are aware of, have seen in the community. You may not realize that it's the community foundation behind it, and we're kind of okay with that. We're kind of okay with being in the background on some of these things. But yeah, it's a really cool opportunity when you get to be involved in something like that. So.
And you said Southeastern, and you said there how many? So when you talk about how many different counties and cities do you cover in terms of the overall?
So we don't necessarily have a really tightly defined radius that we cover. We try to stick in the immediate area. There are some programs we do where, we do work with some of the CEO programs. It's like an entrepreneurship class for high school students. We do some of those long way away because we have a little bit of an expertise in those. But for the most part, we do 8, 9, 10 counties in Southeastern Illinois.
I know one of the big scholarships has been the Arlen D. Williams, because he's so famous. They named the school after him. And could you give a little background? And Michelle, you might find this interesting because, when you think about the background of why this scholarship came to be.
Yeah, Arlen lost his life saving people. And so this scholarship was created in his name, and it's been, I think it's the first scholarship that the foundation started, or maybe that's what started the foundation.
Yeah, really, that's the origin story for the Mattoon Community Foundation, was wanting to establish a scholarship in Arlen's memory because, like you said, he was somebody who died heroically.
There was a plane crash, and he was actually saving people instead of saving himself.
Here?
No, it was in Washington, D.C., right?
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Right.
It was kind of a famous. It was pre Michelle Bravo time, but
Yes.
if you look it up, it's a kind of a fascinating and really kind of cool story of that.
Well, there's a school named after him in Mattoon, and whoever receives the scholarship, they get a luncheon, and their name is placed on a plaque in the Mattoon Library. We have a long list of recipients. It's a great honor for someone to
I
receive
know everybody
this.
wants to win that one, so that's a big one for Mattoon. So a little over a minute left. Contact information, or if anybody wants to find out more information, best way to get a hold of you too?
Yeah, my email is Kristen, Kristen, at southeasternillinois.org, written all the way out. And phone number to reach me is 217-342-5413.
And email's the same system, alex@southeasternillinois.org. And yeah, just calling the office is probably the easiest way to get a hold of us. So.
Any last comments over there, Michelle, from you?
No.
Well, appreciate you both coming in today, and hopefully we got the word out of some of the things that you do, and obviously what you do for our area is to be commended. A lot of money goes out for a lot of good kids, and you send kids to college who probably couldn't go. That's got to make you got a good job. There's a lot to be said about what you do. So we appreciate it, and Kristen, good to see you again.
Yep.
And Alex, thank you.
Well done.
I only did it once, which really wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
So we didn't even get to my crazy. I usually always ask unrelated questions at the end. I'll try to get one in real quick. Favorite Halloween candy?
Snickers.
Twix.
We said this last week. I said Kinder.
There you go. We are WEIU. Thank you so much for coming over. Have a great day, everybody. This is WEIU. We all hope you have a great Monday.